Welcome back to another episode of The Coffee Break, and today we are joined by none other than Tyler Durden, GM. Tyler, you obviously need no introduction, but for those people who may not know who you are, can you just quickly introduce yourself and tell us what you do here at Animoca?
Sure, yeah. I'm the project lead of Moca Network, and basically running the project with the team and obviously the broader Animoca brands, including you and tokenomics team and marketing team and everyone basically working on Moca right now.
And if you haven't heard of Tyler, what have you been doing? So obviously a lot has happened, right? For Moca Network, for Mocaverse. You guys have recently just had your second birthday. You've announced Moca 3.0. You've announced AirKit. And obviously Korea's partnering with SK Planet and all these sort of things. So I guess in a nutshell, can you explain it like I'm five, what is AirKit?
So AIR basically stands for account, identity, reputation, AIR. The team came up with the name. I think it's great. We bought the domain air3.com. And what it really is a global account, digital identity, and user reputation data being put on chain, privacy preserved, user using the single login, single identity. They can use it anywhere basically. And starting with large user-based consumer apps and being natively integrated, such as the SK Planet, largest loyalty program in Korea. It's the second largest company in Korea as well. There's a very long pipeline of projects and enterprises and brands with hundreds of millions of users that will be integrating. What is going to be very exciting is in the future, all these users can use their same account, same identity, and same user-owned and self-sovereign data anywhere. And they can unlock any kinds of rewards, unlock any kinds of access, and the user data can be interoperable for the first time, really. Not only in Web3, but actually it's pretty game-changing in Web2 as well.
So why is that so important, having ownership over your account, over your identity, over your reputation?
Yeah, I mean, like in the past, we are very used to having big tech to own your data. And there are even court cases where users are trying to monetize their own data by downloading their Gmail data, by downloading whatever data that's owned by big tech. And there are court cases basically trying to sue the consumers by saying that, hey, that's our data, not yours. But guess what? Like the user wins, and but then there's no scalable way for user to take back the ownership of their own data, and there is no scalable way of for the users to bring their data to any other apps and prove that they're not lying, like to prove that they actually own the data, and actually allowing any other consumer apps to verify that ownership of data, and in order to provide benefits to those users. In the past, like you see Meta, you see like large big tech companies owning all those user data in a way that they are not sharing that data as well, basically arm twisting all the brands and advertisers and all the users to use Meta as an advertising platform. With the user self-sovereign identity and data, in the future, basically all these brands and data owners and the users and so on, they can interact with one another autonomously and without any middlemen. And that is very, very powerful. And advertising is just one use case. There's many other use cases such as healthcare. If you look at 23andMe, basically the largest consumer-facing genetics company, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And why? Is because they're providing products and services and benefits of finding your hidden brother or hidden sister and all that, but then behind the scene, why they're offering that service as well, one of the benefits for them financially is that they can actually sell those genetics data to research companies, pharmaceuticals companies. But if you think about it, like technically the user own their own genetics data, right? It's pretty scary if someone is monetizing it on behalf of you. So what if you can tokenize your genetics data, you can preserve that privacy and able to monetize it directly with whoever is paying for your data. There are many other use cases, education, sports, and so on. It's endless.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating. I think one good example that just comes to mind is the one when Twitter became X, right? And that user had the handle @X, and they sort of took it away from him without really, without giving him anything, and that's obviously pretty tough. But you obviously, you've partnered with huge groups in Korea, loyalty programs like, obviously SK Planet. What are some other use cases of, Air, and how can you fit that into, let's say me as a user, how can I fit that into everyday life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as a user right now, you're getting onboarded through SK Planet, for instance. Like there's already 28 million KYC users, real users, using the app right now. And it's not only for the OK Cashback app, the loyalty program, but actually it's going to expand across multiple consumer platforms within SK. And if people are not familiar with SK Telecom, you guys can look it up. There's basically hundreds or even thousands of businesses under SK. And originally, when a user is using the app, like they're using a login, and then when they go to another app, even though you're using the same Google login or Gmail login, you're not accessing the same account. And naturally, all the users and all the data, you cannot actually use it anywhere else, right? Like for instance, what if you have achieved some loyalty engagement or your spending and so on, but then you also want to prove that your achievement within the SK app, and you want to bring it to Marriott, for instance, because I'm a high spender, I want to get a free room, and then Marriott would be asking, why would I trust you? Show me your record, but there's no scalable way or like a tamper-proof way to actually do that. And what Air is going to achieve is actually to solve that problem. Recently, their Deliveroo is actually shutting down in Hong Kong. I'm not sure if you know, but then I received a notification from Deliveroo and say that we're shutting down. Foodpanda is offering benefits for bringing the users over, but what if Foodpanda can have a campaign or provide incentives for delivery users who are premium, who basically order 10 delivery orders a month, to come on Foodpanda and get like a year annual free delivery package. And then you immediately are able to attract those users. But from Foodpanda perspective, they would be like, I don't want to spend this money on users who are just coming to farm these rewards, right? They can literally just come and just claim that they're Deliveroo premium users. What Air could potentially solve this problem is you're busy using the same Google login, accessing both accounts. You're able to share the same digital identity, and you're able to tokenize your Deliveroo data, allow Foodpanda to verify that data and provide benefits. Those benefits can be in the form of NFT and tokens. Those NFTs and tokens can be dropped into the Air account. Right, so imagine how powerful that would be, and the loop and the ecosystem and the network can be ever expanding. Another example is there's a very boutique hotel next to this building. It's not part of the Marriott group, for instance. Basically, everything is Marriott now because Marriott has been acquiring a lot of hotel chains. But as a boutique hotel, how can you curate your network around your neighborhood by saying, hey, like this user onboarded through Air, created an account with the Google login. There's a data proof that the hotel is presenting to you, tokenized either as like an NFT or any kinds of data on the blockchain. And they can basically curate their own network around the neighborhood, right? Like let's say restaurants, recreational activities, and so on. They can actually verify those data by adopting Air. And any boutique or any indie companies or brands or hotel franchise can actually build a network even larger than Marriott. So this is really democratizing and decentralizing the power back to individuals and also small companies, but also large companies as well. It solves a lot of pain points.
We're all part of loyalty programs, and the fact that a lot of these things aren't transferable, and then now you have to sign up for another one, and now you have to build up your reputation again all over from scratch. It does make things tricky. So I think that is definitely solving a huge problem. Now, with the Moca Network, right? There's a lot of entities that sort of fall under the Moca Network. You've got Mocaverse NFTs, you've got the Moca token, you've got Moca Network itself, AirKit. How does that all play together?
Yeah, so Moca Network is the umbrella of everything, basically. And then under that, there's Mocaverse. Mocaverse is the consumer brand, is the IP, is the community. So the NFT and the Moca ID side would be the B2C side of basically Moca Network. And then AirKit is the B2B side of Moca Network. And I would say it's B2B2C, right? So Moca Network is, Air is basically the B, and then SK Planet is another B. The SK Planet users would basically be the C. So it's B2B2C, and the other side is like B2C. But whatever we do, the Moca IP would always be front and center of everything. And working with all these brand partners, like enterprise partners. So imagine like all these millions of real users. They're going to be onboarded to Air. The first thing they see would be basically the Moca IP. So the brand value and the impression of it would increase significantly. And then second as well is basically the Moca token would also be the first token that they would be familiar with as well, because that would also be front and center. And I would say another part is Moca NFT holders and Moca ID and our community would always be the top of the pyramid of all these access and all this network that we're building. So imagine like as we expand all these network, Moca NFT is the only path that you can buy your reputation, right? And normally you cannot really do that. Like if you want to get an American Express black card and you basically is invite only and so on, but what if you can have basically the wild card that you can actually purchase from the market and you can basically access having the top of the pyramid kind of privilege in the entire network that we're building.
Again, solving problems that do genuinely exist in everyday life. Now, what are you excited about in the coming weeks, or any announcements that you've got going on?
Yeah, so there will always be announcements, and we don't want to take the approach of consolidating everything and announce everything at once. So it will be a pretty stealth mode launch and back to back, and over time people will see the picture. It's almost like bringing people along the journey. And we started from Moca 1.0 and 2.0 and then 3.0, and now is basically all these announcements are going to make the picture a lot clearer for everyone to understand what we're building. So the announcement that will be coming out this week is our partnership with Plume. We will basically become that digital identity infrastructure to support the RWA chain ecosystem. And why this is very impactful is because previously people might only think about digital identity for gaming or for ENS, like just resolving like a domain name to a wallet address. But then digital identity is a lot more than that. And especially in real-world use cases such as RWA, like basically any kinds of requirement that any kinds of product that actually require the user to verify their KYC status, their AML, also to verify proof of income, and even on basically on-chain credit score. Like basically all these can be privacy preserved, but in a way that you can tokenize, and also based on user permission, you can share it with anyone. And it can unlock a lot of benefits because there's a lot of high yield products, for instance, or more risk-taking products, yield products, or strategy that actually require KYC. But then in Web3, obviously, most of the people don't want to share their full data. But how can you not share your full data, but able to verify that you have completed KYC and AML and not falling under all those blacklists and sanction lists and all the regions that you're not eligible for those services. So RWA is definitely very key. And we'll keep expanding in that area. But as I said, the RWA and the Plume partnership is just a signal of how widespread the Moca AirKit and digital identity can be involved in basically many different areas.
Amazing. Well, congrats on the partnership, and yeah, it's amazing to see how far the whole Moca Network's come in the sort of the short time it's been around. So yeah, with that, happy birthday, and thanks for joining me on the coffee break. Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that's another episode of the Coffee Break. Stay tuned when we speak to more Web3 builders in the next one.